Hi, welcome to the Gateway of Opportunity. My name is Heidi Holmes and I am an admissions representative here at Muskegon Community College. Today we're going to talk about the dual enrollment process, which is actually for high school students. With me today I have Allie Fox, who is also an admissions representative at Muskegon Community College. And she's going to talk us through the process of dual enrollment and answer some questions that I have for her. Allie, would you like to give us an introduction of yourself?
Sure, thanks Heidi. Like you said, I work in admissions, the enrollment service office at MCC, and I've been working with dual enrollment students for about 3 years, I would say, from all over West Michigan. So
wonderful.
This is something I'm really familiar with, so I'm really excited to talk with you about it today.
Awesome. Okay, so what is it?
Dual enrollment, good question. Dual enrollment, basically that word dual in there means that students are taking classes as a high school student. This is a program for high schoolers who can also take classes as a college student. So it's kind of like a jump start on your college career. So students are, the key to it is that students are enrolled in both schools at the same time. It's an opportunity to get some of the basic credits started for college classes. You know, most college programs are going to have some core classes that you would have to complete no matter what your major is. So even if students in high school aren't really sure what they want to do in college quite yet, which is pretty typical and totally okay, they can still take some of those basic classes and you know, get a jump start on their college career.
Cool, wonderful. You kind of answered my next question, but who can dual enroll? Can you expand on that a little bit besides the high schoolers?
Yeah, it's definitely for high school students, but there are some other key points in there, so I'm glad you asked. First of all, dual enrollment is for any type of high school student. This would be students who go to public high schools, charter schools, private schools, parochial schools. Everybody could participate, so long as you meet the requirements. So in order to take college classes, you're going to have to prove that you are also meeting all of your high school requirements and maybe even a little bit ahead of your high school requirements. So this really is a program for advanced high school students because the students are going to be taking college classes right alongside the regular college students. This is not a separate class, it's not a separate classroom. In fact, the college instructors and professors don't necessarily even know who's a dual enrollment student and who's a regular college student in their classes unless the dual enrollment student chooses to identify as such.
That's some good information to know.
Yeah, so the dual enrollment students are held to that same standard as the college students. So that means there's a few steps to take care of. And one of the first things to do is to meet some test scores. In order to dual enroll, the students are going to have to meet some test scores through either the plan test that you took in high school, maybe if you took a PSAT, an ACT test, and there are a few others that are available on the web with some more details because there's 6 or 7 tests that students can take to prove that they're ready for these college classes. So if the students meet the general test scores on one of those tests, that would prove that they're eligible for funding for dual enrollment, because that's kind of a key piece I haven't explained yet, is that dual enrollment, taking these college classes, it's free for high school students.
Oh, great, and we can expand on that. And yeah, awesome,
yes,
wonderful.
That was kind of a big piece that I should have mentioned at the very beginning, is that the cost of the college classes is going to be paid for by the high school district.
Okay, wonderful.
So the tuition does not come at a cost to the student or the family. So that is why there are some requirements that the students have to meet to prove that they're advanced in their studies and ready for college classes, even though they're still enrolled in high school. So some of those tests that I named off are qualifying tests. You know, should students meet the qualifying scores, they might be eligible to dual enroll. There are some other requirements though as well, which are the college prerequisites. So students have to meet the funding requirement with the state of Michigan. The second step is to meet the requirements to enter the college classes at MCC. At MCC, we have our own admissions process where students apply and then take placement testing to see which classes that the students can take. That's a process that the high school students are going to have to follow. They're going to have to go through each of those steps so that they're prepared to be successful in their college courses.
Wonderful.
So-
Are there any other expectations of dual enrollment students once they're dual enrolled?
Yes, I would say that like before, the expectations are the same as college students, which is that you're going to be attending all of your college courses. In college, you're going to have more homework than in high school, so completing all of the homework assignments and extra studying for things like tests and exams.
Yep.
Usually there might be some longer essays or research papers for a college course, so more time out of class doing some of that research and looking into how to format that kind of coursework.
And so maybe if they're on college spring break and high school spring break, how does that, or vacation, everybody's a little different with time-wise, how does that work?
That's a
Is that the same?
big point. Oftentimes, well, pretty much every time, the high school spring break does not match up with a college spring break. Usually college spring break is 2 weeks to a whole month earlier than a high school spring break. Well, if you're a high school student, like I said, your instructors don't know you're a high school student, and really, they just see you as a college student. So if college is in session, you need to be there. So if your high school class is taking a trip, to do service work or just a fun trip, or if your church is going somewhere, that's a choice you're going to have to make, because there are no excused absences per se in college classes. If you're gone, you missed it. You missed the lecture for the day. You missed the course content. So that is a big amount of work to make up for a college class. So students essentially miss out on both spring breaks, because by the time you get a week off for college, you're still in your high school classes.
So definitely they have to take that into consideration as well and what they're thinking. So
exactly how you phrased it as expectations. The expectations are high. The expectations are that students will be committed so that they can be successful in their college classes. That's what we expect, and some more details about that are outlined, during the process to get started.
To get started, okay. And you kind of briefly talked about already the cost. Can you expand on that a little more? We kind of got sidetracked a little bit.
I talked about the cost of tuition, which is only one part of the college costs. There are some costs to dual enroll, and the main one is that in college, books are not free. In college, students pay for their tuition, they pay for course fees, and they pay for books. That's what college students pay for. For the advanced high school students, the funding will cover the tuition and fees. However, book costs are up to the student and the family to pay for. Additional costs are going to be transportation costs. There's no free bus that will bring you to your college classes. So should students choose to dual enroll, they're going to have to assume that the transportation to and from their classes is going to be their responsibility, unless there's been some other specific deal worked out within their own high school, which very rarely might happen, and so students should ask if concerned about transportation. Definitely ask at your high school, see if there's resources to help with that, maybe ride sharing or something like that. But for the most part, that's the family and student responsibility.
And I want to briefly ask you, is the only option to come to our campus and take a class, or are there other, like say, can a dual enrollment student take an online class, or other options for them?
Students, exactly how you said, as a dual enrollment student could take an online class.
Okay.
Through MCC, we do offer classes at some of our extension sites.
Oh, cool.
So out
So
in
they
Nuevo County, at the stream in the city of Nuevo, over in Fremont, we have some classes. Down south from Muskegon in Ottawa County, we have our MCC Ottawa Center, which is in downtown Grand Haven. So students could dual enroll in one of those classes. And sometimes the timing really works out at those extension sites, where a student might go to their regular high school schedule, and then a class might start at 3:30, and they can just kind of scoot over right after high school.
So they don't have to make the longer commute, say if they're from Nuevo or Ottawa area.
Yeah, so those kind of situations work out really well for students. But besides just, I feel like I need to give a shout out to my Oceana County students too, because we have a lot of students from Oceana County who also dual enroll. And some of those students do choose to take courses online.
Okay.
A lot choose to come to the campus too, just to get that full classroom college experience. Online is an option, but I have to give a little bit of a warning.
Yeah, I always do too.
Online classes are different than in-person traditional college classes. There is a lot more reading, a lot more responsibility on the student to make sure that they're keeping up with all of the deadlines,
Very
all the
self-motivated.
Yeah, that's the student you need for an online class. It's also an online college course is different than an online high school course. Some of our high schools in West Michigan have been taking advantage of some online coursework options. The schedules of the online high school classes I've learned are a little bit different. Sometimes the deadlines are different. You know, college online courses have firm deadlines. You know, every week there's going to be work due.
Okay.
You can't work on a whole bunch of stuff and then turn it all in at the end of the semester. It's usually going to be a week by week check-in that you have to do online.
That's great to know.
You know, if you're checking at like 6 in the morning before school, or like if you're up really late at 10 o'clock at night, you know, you can check whenever you want. But there are going to be some deadlines that you have to stay on top of.
All right, great. And now that we've talked all about the process and dual enrollment, how do we get started? How does a high school student go about getting dual enrolled?
Well, if you're interested in this program, and it is an excellent opportunity for high school students to get a taste of college coursework in order to be, you know, better ready for becoming a full-time college student after high school. If you're interested at all, the first step is to stop in, make an appointment with the guidance office at your high school and talk to your high school counselor. Okay. All of the high school counselors at all the area high schools in West Michigan have a ton of info about dual enrollment. So they are the first step, and they're a really good connection to have. They can get students some detailed information about, do they qualify for that funding? What would they have to do in order to get prepared for that? Okay, wonderful. And they can get students started with that. They would then walk students through the actual admissions process to MCC, or they might refer the high school student to one of the admissions reps at MCC to help with the college application, because students will have to apply to the college in order to take a college class. You got to be an official student, so you'll have to do the college application online. There's no cost to do that application, so that's another thing that's free for students. After doing the application, the scheduling is very important for the dual enrollment students. Because you're managing both high school schedule and trying to fit a college class in there, you've got to meet with your high school counselor, make sure these classes will work with your high school courses, because it varies from school to school about when you could actually take a class. Some students can only take a class in the evening, and that's just the only time it would work out. Sometimes there might be a class time that would work out at the same time every day that they could come. But you know, a college schedule is different than a high school schedule. You don't go to your college classes necessarily for 55 minutes every day of the week. You might meet an hour and a half Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or 2 hours at a time on a Tuesday, Thursday. So the college classes are on a different timeline than the high school classes.
Sometimes can be tough, so some guidance with that's what they help you with.
It can definitely be done, because I mean, you know, we have a few hundred dual enrollment students every single semester at MCC. So lots of students have learned how to make it work. You just got to make sure you're checking in with your high school counselor before doing anything to see if that would be an option.
The bottom line, we'll just tell everybody, see your high school counselor to get started, and then they'll go from there.
Yeah, that's the key step to that. One other thing that I can think of, and this is fairly new in the state of Michigan, just within the past year, is that this is an opportunity for all grade levels. Students from grade 9 up to grade 12 could dual enroll. In previous years, this was an opportunity only open to juniors and seniors in high school. So that's a big change that the legislature made in the past year in the state of Michigan. However, I would say typically we still mostly see juniors and seniors. Just because these students have to have completed enough high school work already, they have to have met the test scores. You know, it's not like every dual enrollment student is going to start in the 9th grade. That would be usually a pretty rare occurrence. So junior year, senior year, that's a great time to start looking when you're already looking into what colleges you want to attend, you know, after you graduate. That's a good time to look into, oh, I wonder if I could get 3 credits, 6 credits done before I even enter college as a full-time student. So
wonderful.
Those are the good time of the year, I would say, to look. As far as what month of the year to get started, another hint is that in college you have to start everything early. College classes at MCC, it's very often that our fall classes, so classes that run from September until December, they actually usually start in the last week of August. So that's usually the Monday before Labor Day. High school usually starts after Labor Day. Mm-hmm. So students have to have this all taken care of in the spring of the year before they want to get started.
So right now, start looking about
depending on the time of the
March.
year. Yeah, I would say students need to get started looking into this in February and March if they want to take a class the following fall.
Okay.
If students want to enroll in a winter semester class, that would be January through April, May, that they would be taking classes, then they need to look into that in October. So you need a good few months ahead of time to get all of the paperwork in, to talk with your parents about the opportunity, to talk with your counselor about the opportunity, and then to actually register for classes at a time that works for you. You got to do it early. So getting those applications in, and then some dual enrollment paperwork that the counselors help with, those have deadlines that need to be turned in by. So that needs to be done usually for the fall classes, like I said, in March or April is when that's due.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you for all your useful information today. Hopefully
welcome.
Everybody can learn something from that, and maybe we can get them dual enrolled in the future.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining me today, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, great. Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you, Ellie.